before this commission, draw nigh, come forward, and ye shall be heard. God bless this great United States and the state of Tennessee. God bless Putnam County and this honorable committee. Mr. Chairman, I find the sentence.
Thank you, Major, so much. We appreciate you more than we expressed. So, thank you. We're going to recognize District 3 tonight to lead us in the invocation and pledge.
Let's pray together. Heavenly Father, we thank you for this time. We know we're up on the season of Thanksgiving next week, and we always want to take an opportunity to thank you. We ask so much from you in many of our prayers, but we also want to take a moment to thank you for all the blessings you bless us with, and this community you've blessed us with, and the hospitality of this community, the great people we have here, and all the many blessings, physical and others that you bless us with throughout the year. We're very thankful for so many things. We're thankful for this nation. We're thankful for the opportunity of self-governance, and we thank you for the opportunity to be here as well as elected officials to make decisions and represent our fellow citizens and our neighbors here in Putnam County. And we ask that you bless us with wisdom at this time as we conduct the business of this month, and we ask that you continue to guide us and make the decisions that are right for the people and decisions that would be for the betterment of this community. We ask also for blessings on all those who are struggling at this time. We know there's so many, whether it's the virus still going on and folks still dealing with various disasters going on, the division and so many other things that are going on in our communities. We ask that you bless those who are less fortunate and going through so many struggles than we are going through at this time. We're also thankful again for so many things that you've blessed us with, but we ask that you continue to be with us and guide us as we continue to go on through this week, and help us to always be a glory for you, and also as a representative to you, and always bring you honor and glory. Thank you for your Son. It's through his name, Christ, that we pray these things. Amen.
Amen. Oh. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we go any farther, let me just say thanks to Putnam County for those two items.
Yes. Amen.
I'm proud of Putnam County to still embrace invocations and pledges, so thank you.
Without a doubt.
Mr. Neighbors, let's call them.
All right, let me get right here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you will take your handsets and press yes for me, it will stop you right there. Mr. Ford. All right. Mr. Chairman, you have 23 present, 1 absent. There is a quorum.
Thank you, Mr. Clerk, very kindly. As far as the approval of the agenda, I make one note, remind you, item E under Physical Review Committee was altered to not 50-50 grant to an 80-20. We did pass that through physical, but on your commission agenda, it is incorrect, but it has been changed, so we won't need to change that on our agenda because Physical Review did that. So, having that, approval of the agenda.
Move to approve. Second.
A motion and a second. Any discussion on the agenda? In favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carries. All right, item 6, approval of the minutes of the previous meeting.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second on the minutes. Any discussion? In favor of that motion, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. That motion carries. Unfinished business for the standing committees, planning.
No unfinished business.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chair. Physical Review Committee?
No unfinished business.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and Nominating Committee?
No unfinished business.
Thank you. All right, report of special committees here from the Judicial Commissioner Committee.
Mr. Chairman, Commissioners, the Judicial Commissioner Committee met on October the 11th. Mr. Tom Derricks, who is over the Judicial Commissioners, is retiring at the end of November due to personal reasons. And we have two different forms of judicial commissioners. They both do the same job. You have a group that's under our circuit court clerk that operates during the day from 8 to 4:30 or so. And then you have this other group that Tom was over that operates at nights and weekends when that office is closed. And so with Tom's retirement, we've been thinking about this for a while. Tom had brought it up as a recommendation and think it would be a good idea that we kind of merge the two and let all of them fall under the circuit court clerk's office instead of having a separate group that work there. Jennifer and Sheriff Ferris, and we've all talked about it, and the committee met and they made a motion to recommend to you that the circuit court clerk's office assume the fiscal and supervision responsibility over all the judicial commissioners, including the ones she's already over in her office and these ones that work part-time, and there's a couple of full-time that work nights and weekends to take care of this job. We think it's a great opportunity to give them some better space, to give them some more training, to give them, just make it a lot better and a lot more cohesive when it comes to the writing of the warrants, and which affect a lot of people in Putnam County on a day-to-day basis. There is a budget for the judicial commissioners for those part-time and full-time folks. That physical responsibility would move to her, and she would have control of that budget also if you approve it here tonight. So that's the recommendation from the committee, is to give her the authority, both physical and daily supervision responsibility over those judicial commissioners.
Entertain a motion.
Move to approve. Second.
Got a motion and a second. Now we'll move to discussion. Mr. Wilson.
When does this take effect?
Yeah, upon his retirement at the end of the month, so probably right around the 1st of December, whenever he leaves.
And the last question, I'm not concerned about Jennifer running that department, but my question is there gonna be someone that's gonna be appointed as the head of that person underneath her, or is she just gonna handle it all?
She'll handle it all, and her assistant or chief or whatever y'all call chief deputies or whatever that she's already got in place would fall
Okay,
under that.
thank you.
Mr. Cassidy.
Randy, very quickly, I know you said that, currently we have that as a separate budget, separate line item. Long-term, would we just roll that into the clerk's office, or would we continue to keep that separate?
Well, Mr. Casey, it's kinda like the property assessor. They have 3 different budgets. I don't think it'll make much difference as long as she has control of it. She could look at that between now and next budget, and she decided she wanted to, she could request y'all to do that. Did you wanna say anything, Jim?
I'm not to answer your question, I'm not certain at this point. At this time, I'd like to keep it separate. At the time we're going to maybe approach this body to do differently.
Mr. Williams. Sheriff, you wanna?
I'd just like to add that Jennifer and I has been working together good, and for us at the sheriff's office, it'd be much more consistency with the judicial commissioners at nighttime. You got one set during the daytime, 8 to 4, and you got another set from after 4 or 5 o'clock till the next morning. So this will help everybody involved greatly.
Thanks, Sheriff. Mr. Williams.
My question is for Jennifer again. Will you be able to, if somebody's out sick, one of the nighttime crew is out sick, will you be able to plug one of your daytime people in to kinda, I know nobody's gonna like that, but.
So currently they operate with 5 to 7 judicial commissioners at night. With the 2 that we have part-time in our office as well as the full-time, we should be able to do the scheduling the way it is.
Okay.
If I may, Mr. Porter, the appointment of these judicial commissioners now is handled how?
Through the county commission, through nominating, through the judicial commissioner committee does the interviews, and then they come through nominating and the full commission then.
And will that change?
Jeff? I'm gonna let Jeff talk, 'cause TCA is pretty specific on that, I think.
We're looking at that possibility of a rules committee change to
essentially do away with the Judicial Commissioner Committee. Still have to come back before this commission to be appointed, though. So that's something down the road.
Meaning that the Rules Committee will, meet, if they make that change, it's gonna come to the commission to be,
Correct.
for the full change, and to help me, 2 votes of 2/3,
Yeah.
to change a rule. So I just, so everybody else is aware, that's
Yeah.
all I wanna.
Because it is an established committee under your
Absolutely.
rules.
Okay. Any other, Mr. Rogers?
I was just gonna confirm what Jeff Jones said, the commission still has the authority, TCA doesn't allow that authority to go away from the commission.
So, thank you. Any other questions? Yes, sir.
What is the responsibility of a judicial commissioner? What do they do?
Write warrants. I don't, do they do bonds, Jennifer?
Yes, under Tennessee statute, their authority is, they are considered a judge or a magistrate. Their limit of power or their authority is limited, so they would write warrants and determine actual probable cause. There's enough to indicate that whether a crime has been committed or not. If that crime, if the facts state that a crime has more likely than not been committed, that's probable cause, they would write the warrant. Once a defendant is placed into custody, everyone under Tennessee state law has the right to bail or bond, and so those judicial commissioners would then set bond. And again, to set bond, there are 8 factors that are considered under Tennessee statute, so they're not just coming up with something on their own.
They're considered a neutral and detached magistrate with a first backstop for criminal justice.
Okay, thank you. All right, Mr. Neal?
Yeah, I just want to, ask Jennifer, I'm sure that she's already got it in the works to plan for some training, because I know there's been issues where you may have a commissioner of a nighttime might not understand. I just think that this is gonna be good all the way across the board for the simple reason, uniformity. You're not gonna be expecting something that happens with the bond being so much different from a nighttime versus a daytime type thing. And with the, working with the judges and so forth, I know her office does a lot with the judicial commissioners, and I just think that the training, just the training alone, will be worth what we're trying to do here.
Thank you, Mr. Neal. Any other comments or questions? All right, in favor of the motion, vote aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carries. Congratulations, you just inherited some more folks.
You got a big raise with that too, right, Jennifer?
All right, item number 2 is to hear from redistricting committee. So we'll recognize the chair of that committee as he comes to the podium, Mr. Bob Duncan.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The report of the committee was included in your packet. I'd just like to emphasize a couple of points in there. The committee met 6 times over a 90-day period. We initially considered several plans, but decided to present 2, a 12-district plan and a 7-district plan. The 7-district plan was able to address all of the concerns of the election commission about voters in Allgood and Baxter being in a single district to simplify. The 12-district plan was not able to address all of the concerns relating to Baxter. The school board issue was the sticking point. We currently operate under a private act that says that the county is divided into 6 school board districts, and each of those districts is made up of 2 adjoining county commission districts. The current state law says that all redistricting and reapportionment is to be completed by January 1, 2022. The county will be operating under the current state law. I think it's interesting to point out that the legislature who established the current law won't be. They're gonna actually adopt the reapportionment plan in January of 2022. At our November 1st final meeting of the committee, we decided that because the current private act is so restrictive, it cannot be amended before the deadlines, that we would take the 7-district plan out of our recommendation and are only presenting a 12-district plan to the commission for adoption this evening. We're also recommending that instead of discharging the redistricting committee with the adoption of the plan, that you add the charge to the redistricting committee to look at options to the current private act and bring forth a recommendation to the commission for addressing the current limitations in the private act as soon as reasonably possible. I'd also, as chairman, like to thank the members of the committee, and also to thank Ben Rogers, who was acting not as a commissioner, but in his full-time job as CTASC representative, and Brandon Smith, who is our current 911 assistant director, for their assistance. And I would be happy to answer any questions, but that's the recommendation of the redistricting committee. Are there any questions?
If I may, before discussion is started, we do have to vote. The mandate of this commission is to address the plan that has been presented by redistricting. And according to the rules of what we follow, I need a motion on the floor before discussion. There's anything to discuss.
Motion to approve both recommendations from the committee in that we adopt this map and we adopt their recommendation to continue with that committee so that they can bring forward a recommendation so that we can fix our private act.
Second. Okay, thank you very kindly, Mr. Nadio, I appreciate that. So we do have a motion and a second, and before I open discussion, let me make sure everybody understands what we're doing. The maps you see, we've got a motion to approve as they've been presented. Secondly, the chair of the redistricting has asked that we allow the redistricting committee that's been appointed to continue and to address the private act that now limited us from being able to present another option. Am I being clear? And everybody okay with what I just said, and you understand what the motion is? Now I'll open it for discussion. And if you have questions, that's part of the discussion of Mr. Duncan. Mr. Nadio, are you still?
No, I'm good.
Mr. Awazan, Jordan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Chairman Duncan, I do want to say I appreciate you and the committee being willing to continue to serve in that role, because it would have been awesome if we would have had that private act already corrected. But of course, as you said, we need to work on that. I appreciate you guys being willing to work on that. That 7-district plan, as you mentioned, would have taken care of a lot of the inequities that were being discussed, and I do appreciate you guys looking into maybe trying to get that corrected. Thank you for being willing to serve further.
Thank you. I should point out that the 12-district plan has a variance rate in it of 6%. 10% is allowed. That's taking the lowest and the highest districts and adding those two together. We have a 3% variance in one district over and a 3% variance in another district under. Those, per the regulations and state laws now, that's a 6% variance. A 10% variance is allowed, but you can only move lines by census tracts, and that may be 3 people, that may be 200 people when you move a census tract. But the existing plan that's being presented has a 6% variance, which is allowable, which is less than the 10% allowed. So the plan as presented complies with the law.
Mr. Bennett?
Yes, Mr. Duncan, could you explain what the problem is with the private act that you feel we need to address?
The private act now says that the school board is comprised of 6 districts, which each district is made up of 2 adjoining county commission districts. At that point, the only thing that the private act allows is 12 districts and 6 school board districts. There are other private acts where the commission, by resolution, establishes the size of the school board, and I would think that the committee, if approved, will come back with some amendment to the private act which allows the county commission to have more discretion in approving the number of school board members.
So it's strictly to do with the number of school board members, not reworking the districts?
Well, right now, we're kind of limited. The private act says there shall be 6 school board districts. Each district is composed of 2 adjoining county commissions. That pretty well locks it in at 6 school board members and 12 county commissions. 12 county commission districts.
Right. I'm just trying to find out if the purpose is to change the count on this commission or to change the count on the school board.
The purpose is to allow the county commission to have more flexibility other than, right now, there is no flexibility in it. The second part of that is to allow the county commission to have some flexibility.
And how long has this private act been in effect that we're under now?
About 30 years.
30 years, okay. 93? Okay, thank you.
Ms. Bradford?
How long do you all think you need for this committee? Is this a committee you want to keep together for the full 10 years until?
No, I think that the committee will come, hopefully by the end of the first quarter next year, the committee will have its recommendation.
Okay, so the commission will still have the option to pick the committee they choose 10 years down the road?
Oh, yeah. We're not keeping this committee.
I may not be here in 10 years, Kim.
For 10 years, I anticipate the committee will have 1 or 2 more meetings and then come back with a recommendation as to how to address best, in the committee's opinion, the existing private act.
Okay, so we're only looking at a year, possibly? 2 years?
I think the committee's work will be done sometime fairly early next year.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Cassidy?
Jeff, very quickly, would you give us a 2-minute primer on what a private act is and why we're so limited in what we can do right now?
Private act is an act that's approved by the state legislature. And this is, your question is why we're hemmed in by the Chairman Dr. speaking. Is that the deadline for getting the reapportionment plan is January 1st. For a private act to be approved, you've got to go to the legislature. And it's got, first of all, you've got to have it approved. It's go to the legislature, approved by the legislature, it's gonna come back here, it should be approved by you guys twice, in like 2/3 reading, so that's a lot to get done.
And the reason that, to use your word, that we're hemmed in is 30 years ago, or 28 years ago to be precise, the county asked for the state to pass this private act setting these rules, and not every county has to follow those rules because that private act is very specific to Putnam County.
There was a shift in the education statutes when we went from elected to appointed directors of schools. And this was all part of the process. And so this private act was passed in 1993 in response to the legislature's change of those education statutes, I think it was about 1990.
Any other questions for me? Thank you very much.
I've got one question.
I'm sorry. Are you through, Mr. Cassidy? I apologize. Mr. Wilson?
Yeah, I got one quick question. Just for clarity, is there a reason why we do not have an at-large school board member to make it an uneven number? Just curiosity. I just need to know.
Because of the private act right now says shall be 6.
I understand that, but is there a reason that can't be adapted to have an odd number of I'm just asking.
I think right now, it's just not allowed based on our existing act. Whether we consider an odd number or anything, I think the committee would like to give the county commission the most flexibility, and we'll consider whatever the state statutes allows us to do to give the county commission the most flexibility.
Thank you.
Mr. Randolph?
Yes, sir. I think I think we have a good committee in place, and I think you've done a good job. And I think that both your recommendations have some merit. However, I would like to amend this motion to put a time limit on it from 1 year from this meeting. And that's my motion. That's my amendment.
Second.
Okay. Excuse me. So the amendment only affects the committee continuing to operate. There were two parts of this motion. One was to accept the 12 districts as presented. The second was to allow the committee to continue to function. The amendment only affects that second part of Mr. Donadio's motion. Does everybody understand that? As I look around. So, I've got a motion and a second on the floor, so I'll open discussion on the amendment only. Only the amendment. Any discussion? If not, we're going to vote on the amendment. Those favoring the amendment, and again, everybody understand what you vote now. Only to allow 1 year on the second part of that. Everybody understand it? Okay. Those favor the amendment signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Motion carries. Now we're back to the motion as amended. Any other discussion on the motion as amended? Seeing none, you favor that motion signify by saying aye. Aye. Those opposed, no. Motion carries. Thank you very much to our redistricting committee, to Mr. Duncan for your chairing that committee and the effort that was put out for you guys, and I know you're going to continue to do so on this second part of that. Anybody on that committee? Well, we've moved forward. Let's move forward because we voted for it and got it done. All right. Quarterly reports and action thereon. Road fund, school fund, county general fund. Any questions concerning the quarterly reports? Did you want to say something, Mark? You look, okay, I'm sorry. Anybody got a question of anybody concerning the quarterly reports? All right, as noted. Moving on to item 9, new business, report of standing committees, planning.
Recommends the approval of the list of vehicles to be sold via internet public auction for the sheriff's department as follows, and y'all see what it is.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Any discussion on item A? Favor the motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Item B, recommends approval to set speed limits for the following roads: Ashburn Road, 35 mile an hour.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion and a second on the speed limit change. Any discussion? Favor the motion, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion carries.
That's planning.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Fiscal Review Committee.
Item A, Fiscal Review Committee recommends approval of budget amendments to the county general fund, and I so move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on county general? Mr. Clerk.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, if you take your handsets, in favor of the motion, vote yes. Do not favor the motion, vote no. Everyone, please vote. Excellent. All votes are in. Anyone wish to change their vote anywhere? All right. We have 23 voting yes, 0 no, 1 absent. Motion carries. Next item.
Item B, Fiscal Review Committee recommends approval of budget amendments to the General Purpose School Fund, and I so move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on general purpose school? Mr. Clerk?
Same thing, if you take your handsets, if you favor the motion, vote yes. If you're not in favor of the motion, vote no. Everyone, please vote. All right, all votes are in. Anyone wish to change their vote anywhere? All right, excellent. Again, you have 23 voting yes, 0 no, 1 absent. Motion carries.
Item C, Fiscal Review Committee recommends approval of the resolution authorizing the county to be participants of the opioid abatement agreement, and I so move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion? Favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, no. Motion carries.
Item D, Fiscal Review Committee recommends approval for the county to apply for a TDOT Community Mobility Planning Grant that will include a match of 10% with a maximum of $12,500, and I so move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion? Favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Item E, Fiscal Review Committee recommends approval of the resolution for the county to apply for an 80-20 matching EDA grant to help with construction of the Ag Pavilion at the new Expo Center Fairgrounds, and I so move.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on that motion?
Yes, got one question.
Please punch your button.
20
Okay.
20% is us or 80% is us?
20% would be us.
Just clarifying. Thank you.
You're quite welcome. Any other questions or discussion? Favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
Item F, Fiscal Review Committee recommends approval for the county to apply for the Assistance to Firefighters Grant for $72,000 with a match of 10%, and I so move.
Second.
We got a motion and a second. Any discussion on the firefighters grant? Favor of that motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. And again, that motion carries.
Item G, Fiscal Review Committee recommends approval for the county to apply for a grant for the Office of Criminal Justice Programs for $35,203.84 with no match, and I so move.
Second, at 84 cents.
Motion and second. Any discussion on that motion? Favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries.
That completes Fiscal Review.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Nominating, there is no business.
No business.
All right. Report of special committees, any reports? All right, seeing none, resolutions.
No resolutions, Mr. Chairman.
All right, how about election of notaries?
All right, our notaries tonight, Rhonda M. Bartlett, Ernie Wayne Basham, Jason Flatt, Laquita Godfrey, Joy Knight, Jamie LaFever, Sheila Lee, Candace McGrath, Peggy Joyce Medlin, Tristan Parker, James Allen Pippin, Paul Pitak, Kristen Short, Marcus Smith, Nikki Stam, Leslie Thompson, Kenneth Walker, and lastly, Megan Wimple.
Motion to approve.
Got a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second on the notaries. Mr. Clerk.
All right, you have to take handsets and vote this one. If you favor the motion, vote yes. Notaries should be simple. Ah, yes, thank you so much. Mr. Chairman, all 23 vote yes, no, noes, 1 absent, motion carries. Thank you very much.
Thank you. In new business, we're going to recognize Mayor Porter. He has something to bring back to us. Mr. Porter, you're recognized.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I promised you an update on the replacement of the Patton House Museum that was destroyed by the tornado. and we had talked about, we got about $300,000 from FEMA. We got an extension on that because of building materials being so high and a lot of issues going on with the pandemic. And we're about to start construction on that. So what we decided to do is the county is gonna be the contractor. Our building maintenance department will be the contractor. We have electricians and plumbers and so forth in it. So we're gonna sub out the big jobs and start construction on it, because we're gonna get into a time crunch if we don't, of losing the FEMA money. So I promised the commission I'd bring you an update back. We guesstimating right now somewhere in the $500,000 to $550,000 range on the building. It will house the veteran service officers, which are now in the old Veterans Building on Spring and really cramped for space. It will house the archives, it will house the Veterans Museum, and it'll give us about 2,000 square foot storage space for our records and archives, which is badly needed right now to store those things. So we're gonna move forward with it. We think we'll come in good by doing it ourselves and probably save us a couple of $100,000 by doing that. So I just promised you an update and wanted to bring that back to you.
Any questions for the mayor on Patton House? Sir, Mr. Grover?
What's our total square footage on the building?
About 6,300 square feet.
Over 2 levels?
Over 2 levels. It was a basement house to start with, so the land is really made for a basement, so we do 2 levels to save money on that also.
You know, we've moved the archives and stuff around, and also the veterans, and everybody knows they should have a big space. Is this gonna be big enough, so if we can, you know, add on or move on, you know, for later on in the years? Because I've had a lot of people call me about the veterans.
Yeah, me too, and
we want a nice building for them.
absolutely.
Every county you go to, they have a wonderful building for veterans.
I agree with you.
I think ours should be honored as well.
This one will be a nice building. I'd say between the two now, they might have a couple of thousand square foot, so it's gonna be about 3 times the size. And then that lot is large that we could actually add an addition onto the building at any time in the future we need to do. My goal is this for to be their final home for a long time.
I got one question. I've already given my,
It's okay.
Being the square footage that it is it gonna require a fire sprinkler system in it? Because at 5,000 square foot typically is that cutoff mark?
Well, the good thing about the bottom part, there's 2,000 square foot of it that's just storage, so we think we can work around some of that and be able to not have to do that.
I know that's expensive, but I know that you've given us an estimated budget.
Yeah.
I just didn't know if that was something that you thought that may have to be something that may have to be considered.
It could be, but with the record storage, that's not something you want, is sprinklers in record storage, so
True story.
we're gonna try to work around that if we can.
What about parking, Mr. Mayor? Is it adequate?
Plenty of spaces for parking. We'll have parking all along the front, along Highway 70, and then the veterans, obviously be on the lower floor, and they'll have parking in the rear for that, so 2 separate entrances, so people don't have to walk up and down stairs.
Thank you so much. Any other comments, questions of the mayor?
Just a quick question. You do have it designed and everything?
Yeah, we had it designed back, several months ago, and the quotes and bids came in so much more expensive than what we thought they would, so we've had that just sitting and waiting to be able to do it, and we, like I said, we think we can do it ourselves and contract out some of the stuff to the subs and save a lot of money.
Are you okay if we just look at the plans?
Oh, you can come by my office anytime.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Mr. Bennett?
At one time, we talked about having a memorial on that side. Are we still doing that?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We just, Parks and Recreations, just finished up, well, actually finishing tomorrow on Hope Park, the new park. And then we're gonna include the memorial there with the building of this building. We wanted to wait and do it all at one time.
Hey, Mayor, I got a question. Is any of the building that's there now, is any of it usable?
No, sir.
Because I knew it took a pretty good hit, so it's
It
gonna
did.
all come down.
It'll all come down. We'll
Be
start
brand
from
new
scratch.
facility.
Yes, sir.
What happened to the dolls?
Mr. Jones has got them in storage.
So they're okay, the storm did not?
Well, there was a few of them, but most of them are still intact.
Great, awesome.
When do you anticipate starting?
I'm sorry?
When do you anticipate starting?
Immediately. Well, when I say immediately, as soon as we can get a bid out to get the basement poured walls and those kind of things. So hopefully sometime in either December or January.
Anyone else? Great report, thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
Any other business? If not, we'll stand adjourned, folks.